and it's going. This is it. I recently, by recently, I mean yesterday, I shaved my head and my beard down. And this is the first time I'm really looking at
Yeah.
myself on camera. I'm so used to, I edit so much of this footage. I'm so used to seeing myself one way. And now I looked at the screen and I was like, who the fuck's that guy? It's me.
Do you use a guide on your beard
No, what do you mean a guide? Oh, like a,
for clippers?
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are called guides.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm already learning things. Awesome. Cool. Before, we drop any more knowledge, let's do the intro and hello and welcome to Start the Beat with Sykes. My name is Sykes and this is my podcast. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a quick moment to thank everyone who checked out the last episode. If you were one of those people who listened to the conversation, I hope you enjoyed it and thanks so much for coming back. But for those of you out there who are new to the show, welcome. Please feel free to make yourselves at home. And as always, there's beer and soda in the fridge. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Cheers. That Oktoberfest. Tis the fucking season. It's like my favorite time of the year for beers.
Yeah.
I really like Oktoberfest style beers and the darker beers, lagers, porters, stouts, all those things.
Pumpkin spice White Claws.
Hell yeah, motherfucker. What is your take on the White Claws, the Trulies, the hard seltzers?
I am not opposed to the LaCroix style beverages. So I don't hate them. It's not my kind of drink. I'm more of a beer person, but
Sure.
I tasted one once and I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But it seems to be kind of weird that it has exploded in this like new trend.
Is it normally the case? Most things that tend to explode are always something weird. It's never like, that
Right.
makes sense that blew up. It's always like, why the fuck is everybody doing that or eating this or listening to that or watching that?
Yeah. I think it has to do with just trends in general.
Yeah.
The like things that are trendy or things that companies are telling you to enjoy.
Such a simple idea. And I think they just really hit the nail on the head of marketing to I don't know, millennials, I guess.
Yeah.
It is definitely millennial water. That's what we'll call it.
I agree with that
Yeah,
term.
I don't mind it at all. I've had quite a few of them on here. Shout outs to D Ryder, who just had their album release this past weekend, and they were on the show last month, and they brought a whole case of sparkling seltzers, and that whole case was consumed in the course of an hour. I mean, between five motherfuckers, but yeah.
So you're embracing the trend.
I think it's fine. I like it. It's time and place, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
We recently, Gray Walker, we played a show out in Buffalo, New York, and I guess they have a Truly sponsorship at this place now. They had fucking a new patio with big Truly umbrellas and all this shit, and they had Trulies, and it was really fucking hot out, and I was kind of, I don't know if I want a beer. So I had like two or three mango Trulies or whatever flavor it was, and I was like, you know what, this is nice. I'm kind of outside. I can have a few of these. A little social lubrication without the guilt, without the caloric guilt.
Yeah, I can't appreciate that it's a summery type of drink and it doesn't weigh you down.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Don't get too crazy, I would say. Don't obsess over it, whether you love it or you hate it. Just let people enjoy things.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck I'm saying. So today I'm sitting here with my friend Brandon Martin. Make some noise for the internet. The internet's happy that you're here.
Thank you very much.
The internet's really curious, what is it that you do? I've met you through local music event production is where I've met you. Running sound, stage managing, producing, promoting, that sort of thing. And you do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But what do you want the people to know about you that I didn't already let them know?
One of the newest developments in my life is that I'm in a Pink Floyd tribute band called Pit Floyd.
Nice.
and I perform all of the sound effects and do background vocals and sing lead on one song. And we've been together for almost 2 years, and we're playing a lot of suburban type venues,
Yeah.
Craft House and Oaks Theater, Lamp Theater, Jurgles, places like that.
You have a show coming up, right?
We do. We're playing at the Thunderbird, the newly renovated Thunderbird,
Nice.
September 14th.
Very, very
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
So what's it been like now? I imagine you've played in bands in the past
Mhm.
before this, but how long of a gap has it been since you've played in a band?
Quite a while.
Yeah.
Probably 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a while.
I did do a lot of solo stuff.
Okay.
Solo acoustic
In
singer-songwriter.
that time frame.
In that time frame, yeah. But as a collective, yeah, it's been probably since college.
So the question I have for you then, playing in bands from the perspective of somebody that understands live sound and all of these things, do you have an easy time or a hard time playing shows when you're not running sound? Are you able to just let go?
Depends on the venue. I can't let go when I'm in, when it seems like there's an issue. If I'm in the band and that performance is going to be hindered by that issue, then
Yeah.
I have to solve it.
Absolutely.
But if I'm a viewer of live music and I'm not working, I'm not performing, I let it go.
Yeah.
And everybody looks at me like, "Are you gonna fix this? I'm not on the clock. I'm sorry."
They got to learn somehow.
Yeah. I've had those times where a show has crashed and burned, and I learned from it, so that they have to do that, have that experience as well.
Yeah. With getting into live, like running sound at shows and things like that, how did you get into that? Was it something you were like passionate about, or was it just like a way to, make some extra money being in the music biz?
Mm-hmm. When I was in band in high school, when this is probably early 2000s, we recorded an album that was self-funded, and that experience really opened my eyes to a lot of behind-the-scenes production. And I actually went to school after that for recording arts.
Okay.
And when I graduated, I had no money. I came back to Pittsburgh, par for the course.
Sure.
There was no music studios that had any opening slots, and doing stuff for free was not really an option for me. So I fell into live sound as kind of a departure from that, but not too far of a departure from it. And then from then on, I just started working at venues, and James Street was one of the most notable places that I worked at. And
yeah, shout outs to James Street and Kevin. You're a guy.
He is a dude.
You are a man. Yeah, that makes sense. I think that's a path it's not an uncommon path for people in the entertainment field, the music spectrum, to find those alternative ways to sort of, supplement income and still be a part of the scene.
Right.
But then you end up, taking on way more than sometimes people expect or ask for. I would say, since you probably went to school, you probably had a much different perspective than somebody else. It's like, well, I've never, ran sound at a show before, but I'm gonna just I'm gonna figure this out like through doing shows,
right,
versus having the somewhat of knowledge going into it, which I think a lot of people do that, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just funny when you like go into a newly renovated space and there's all this like super nice gear, and there's just like, they had all the money to do all this stuff, but they don't have enough money to pay somebody that knows how to run it.
Usually the case.
It's not uncommon. It's
not
pretty interesting.
Uncommon.
But I think the other thing too, though, is sometimes you're dealing with an issue of reliability from people, because there's a lot of people that maybe know what they're doing, but maybe they aren't reliable, or they're already booked at other places. So
yeah,
it could be hard too, dealing with trustworthy, reliable people in the industry, we'll call it.
Yeah.
You seem like a pretty trustworthy guy.
I appreciate that.
Have you ever been in any trouble
with
the law?
Uh, just your typical high school antics,
Yeah,
but nothing serious. No.
yeah. What do you do outside of the music stuff? Like, you're not running sound at a show, you're not playing in a band, you're not writing songs. Like, what does Brandon do to let loose
Mm.
or just
Uh,
chill out?
pff, that's a really hard question. That's pretty much my life.
Yeah,
From day to day. If I'm not doing it for work, I'm doing it for self.
totally. So at this point now, your main gig source of income is like working at venues, just kind of bouncing around, or do you have like a day job that you do too?
One of the companies that I work for mostly is Here Corp, and they do all of the staging and sound for Deutschtown Music Festival,
Yeah.
alongside of a lot of corporate events.
So do you do a lot of those sort of gigs where like you get paid to go like set up a powered speaker and listen to people talk for 4 hours?
It's a little bit more involved than that because we're I mean, essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're working at like David L. Lawrence Convention Center.
Okay, yeah. So you got
We
it.
have huge speaking engagements. Techo is one of our bigger ones, and yeah, it's pretty serious systems, even though it's just talking head
Uh-huh.
style. But other than that, I'm working for a guy that is the front of house sound engineer for Third Eye Blind, and
Oh.
his name, unfortunately, is Rob Thomas, who obviously he's not the Matchbox 20 lead singer.
Well, it is a rather common name, but
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
still pretty funny.
But he's been great to work for, and he has a couple systems here in Pittsburgh, and we take those systems out to West End or fancy hotels and do wedding bands and corporate gigs like that.
Yeah. It's
So
funny to think that it makes total sense that there are obviously all of those events that need live sound, lighting, production, but you really don't think about it.
right, it's kind of unseen because they're private events.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, not everybody sees all of that.
What's the weirdest event you've had to work for? Or
Hmm.
anything that really stands out as just being like, this is a unique situation?
Uh, I guess Techo would be
Okay.
one. That's the anime and
Yeah.
Japanese culture convention. Not that the people were weird; they're great, but
It's a unique environment.
it's very unique. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have bands and shit that come in and play that,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
DJs and stuff.
Yeah.
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 So that's fun. You get to set up like a little mini rave basically in the convention
Yeah.
center.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Does
a lot of fun.
does Here Corp handle lighting and stuff too, or is that a different company that would do all that stuff?
We do have some lighting. I kind of wish that we would have more staff to kind of develop that, but we
Yeah.
do have some pretty serious lighting
That's
rigs.
cool. Lighting stuff is something that I'm starting to get into now, just because I want to incorporate it into live shows, and it just seems really interesting and fun to learn. And the technology seems to be getting to a price point where it's like actually accessible.
Yeah.
It's not like 10 years ago where it was like $10,000 to buy like the simplest fucking little
Right.
computer controlled system. Now you can get stuff pretty cheap, or you can buy the crazy China knockoff stuff if you want to go that route too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't know. Maybe I will. I don't know. How do you feel about generic goods versus I don't know, top notch stuff? I guess a way to bring this conversation back to music would be like, how do you feel about Behringer?
Behringer is a weird case. They have made strides in the past 5 years to really make
I've noticed
more
that too.
robust equipment, notably their X32 console, which is you see in a wide variety of
It's a
venues.
huge game changer, right?
Yeah, it's a very low barrier to entry console. It costs, depending on what model you have, anywhere from 1,800 to 3,000, and
For what you're getting, that's nothing.
it's so full featured.
Yeah.
It's very competitive in the market. Their analog preamps are not all that great compared to their Midas equivalent, which is pretty much the same graphic user interface. So if you can use an X32, you can use an M32, but the components are a lot better, and you actually do like notice the difference, even if you're not an audiophile type person.
Yeah.
And even those Midas boards are pretty low barrier to entry as well. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Behringer and Midas have kind of merged into this music group company
Oh, okay.
with Clark Technic, and that's why you're seeing a lot of advancements in Behringer, and why um, now Behringer is not the bad name that it used to be.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah, I have some Behringer equipment, and it has not done me any wrong at all. Like,
yeah,
we're running for Sykes and the New Violence now, we're running all of our backtracks, like our stems, through separate channels. So we're sending
mhm.
like 60 eyes to front of house.
Whew.
And but I just built like a rack mount, and I got the Behringer, two Behringer 4-channel racks,
Mhm.
and they were like $100
Yeah,
each. They
yeah,
were like dirt cheap, and they work. I
yeah.
haven't had any issues, so it's been pretty cool.
As long as you treat your equipment right, and I have some things where I'll cut corners on as far as my own personal equipment,
Yeah.
but it's lasted me 5 years because I treat it right, and
Yeah.
I'm not abusing it and torturing it on the road.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So
It's I've seen it's that's actually a pretty interesting conversation. You seem like like-minded in the sense that I like to take care of my gear as well. And
mhm.
anything that I own, it's just I'm a bit I'm a bit of a control freak about things. Like, I'll get like if I put a new sticker on a case and it gets a nick, I'm like, God damn it. But that's like what's gonna happen, right? I'm just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
How do you feel if you're at a show and you just see somebody's like just not taking care of their stuff? Like dusty pedal boards, I have such a pet peeve against like dusty pedal boards. It's like, how do you let that get like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people just don't care, I guess. I don't mean to sound like a turd, but it's just like, I don't know. What's your take?
My feeling is if it's not affecting the audio quality or
Fair
its
enough.
its functionality, I'm not that disturbed by it. But a dusty pedal board, all of that dust can get into your quarter-inch connections and really
Yeah.
mess things up. And then the blame falls on, of course, me,
Uh-huh.
because you can't get your own stuff
Yeah.
working because you don't
I'm gonna
take
do
care
a
of it.
call out right now. So this call out goes to Jake of Northern Gold. I ran sound for them last night. They did their album release at my work, and Jake's acoustic DI box that's on his dusty pedal board was a little crackly throughout the night. And it's like, what is it? Is it the cable?
Yeah.
No, it's your dusty fucking thing. And to be fair, he called himself out, but I'm just saying, Jake, he's gonna be here. They're coming soon.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you're watching, watch out when you come here because
Hold
I'm
his
gonna
feet to
give
the
him like
fire.
a can of air duster as soon as he walks in on camera. That'd be tight.
Don't recommend air duster, by the way.
Ooh,
Um,
what would you recommend?
a shot vac, or if you like really need to get it clean, contact cleaner.
Why not the air duster?
It has compressed air in it, and that condensates to water, which can corrode your metal components.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So if you've ever held it upside down,
Yeah,
you see that mist of water. That's
dropping knowledge,
yeah,
letting these kids know.
no air duster.
No air duster
Mm.
ever.
I mean, on a keyboard, it's all pretty much sealed. So
Yeah. Okay.
that's what it's made for. So
Yeah, but not pedals,
not
not gear.
not exposed metal connections.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What else do you know about? What else are you smart about? What's one thing? Let's do this. In running live sound as a spectator, we mentioned, sometimes you're at events
hmm
and you're not working that night, but something's off.
hmm
What do you think is one of the most common mistakes of a live sound engineer? I'm trying to refrain from using the word amateur, so we'll just say like beginner or
Sure.
just an unexperienced
hmm
sound engineer.
One of the most like noticed things from a common listener is feedback. That ring you hear
Yeah.
persistent throughout. That is usually caused by the sound engineer not taking the prep work in what's called ringing out monitors or your front speakers, where you have to take your vocal microphone and point it at the monitor to make it ring. And then in a equalizer, you would take out those problem frequencies so that wouldn't happen during the show.
Yeah. something that's really easy to do on the X32. Start the beat, sponsored by Behringer. No, but yeah, totally.
Hmm.
I think that it can be hard too because a lot of times if you're dealing with uh like a beat, okay, I'm just gonna say amateur live sound engineers, sometimes the equipment may not be capable enough to
Yeah.
even like get those pinpoint those frequencies out.
Yeah.
That's why it always like it really grinds my gears nowadays with I see people that have like super nice consoles live and they're still having issues. I'm like, you could do anything on this thing.
You would be surprised how many like advanced venues I've been at, and I've taken a look into their graphic EQs, and they're all flat,
Sure.
and they're still having feedback issues. And a performer is up on stage saying that they can't get more of themselves in their monitor, and they will give it to them because, of course, it's going to feedback the more you give. But
It's got-
your solution is right inside there.
yeah.
But to your point that some venues don't have that advanced equipment or an outboard graphic EQ, there's ways around it where you can do some gain staging
Yeah.
where you're not putting so much pressure on the preamp. You're dialing that back and then putting your fader up a little bit more. That reduces some feedback as well.
I always found in my experience running live sound, usually if something isn't coming through in the mix, I tend to try to turn things down around it rather than trying to
Yeah.
turn up first.
It's called additive PA,
Okay.
where you're only putting through what you're not hearing acoustically on stage.
Okay.
So if you can hear all of the drums just fine, you're not putting that in your mix. Maybe the kick drum, because that's not something that translates well acoustically across the stage.
Yeah.
But everything, from that's, kind of how I mix small clubs where I'll just have the band play and I'll have all my faders down, and anything I can't hear, I put up.
Okay.
And those are the only things that I have in the mix.
Yeah. I've definitely seen a lot of engineers do that, and for the style of music, it can bug me.
Hmm.
I think it bugs me a lot when engineers do that for metal bands
Hmm.
because the room just never feels loud enough. When you do it that way, even
Yeah.
if you're just pushing a little bit through,
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem to sound right. Oh, this is a good conversation for you. So, um, digital amp modeling. It's a
Hmm.
big thing now. Speaking of metal bands,
Was
you got
that like Kempers and stuff
Kempers,
like
Axe Effects. A lot of people are using them in a live situation, and I feel like they just sound so transparent unless you're in like a huge room where like you're not going to be getting any of that stage volume. I feel like there needs to be that nice mix
Yeah.
with like a rock band where if I'm in a room, I want to hear like the sound coming from the amp, but I also want to
Mhm.
get a little bit coming from the speakers too, just because it blends together and it creates a nice sonic hug.
that? Hmm.
But whenever you have something like the Kemper and the guitarists or bass players or whatever aren't using like an on stage cab, because some people do still run them through a cab and then
Yeah.
to the house
I've
too.
seen
But
that.
but yeah, I've seen bands that don't, and it just
Mhm.
sounds so thin. Am I crazy, or what do you think as a live sound engineer?
I can appreciate your perspective of having more of a immersive experience, having that stage feel to adding to what's going on in the front in the
Yeah.
audience. So I agree with you in a sense, but it depends on the situation. If you're um, in a venue or a live outdoor space that is susceptible to neighbors around that like to complain,
Oh, sure.
keeping the stage volume is pretty crucial. So you have to do what you can to minimize that. And
Yeah.
and campers are beautiful at doing that. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of take away from that stage feel.
It happened. The biggest or the most like relevant situation I saw was a show at the Rex, and they were using the amp modeling in that
Mhm.
room. Like the mains are like, you know, what, 25, 30 feet off the ground, like hanging
Yeah.
from the ceiling. So like I'm standing in the middle of the room And okay, like I see band, guitar player, I hear drums and vocals, but then all the guitars coming from up here, and they'll be like all the drums sounds coming from the stage. So it's like
Right.
this weird like separation of sound where it
Mhm.
doesn't. It almost felt like I was like the same song was playing on two different stereos, like different parts of this, and
Yeah.
like my ears like had to like adjust to that and like
Yeah.
meet somewhere in the middle, and it didn't make sense in my brain.
Are you like a diehard front and center concert goer?
No,
Okay. Then I would suggest moving.
yeah, well,
But
yeah, I mean, that's the
uh
thing is like, if you typically in those situations, if you are in the back of the room, like by the soundboard, it sounds tight.
yeah,
It
yeah.
happened once at downstairs at Cativa. There was a metal band that I saw there playing, and I was a little bit closer because it was just like there wasn't many people at the show. There's maybe only like 60 people there, and like that's a
Mhm.
big room. So I'm not standing in the back and everybody's up front. And like, or like one of those bands is a super sick drummer. So you're trying to watch the drummer and see what he's doing. But
Yeah.
if you're up by the front of the stage, I mean, it's cool because all you could hear was the drums. So
Right.
that's tight. But then I go back by the bathroom and I'm like, oh, there's the rest of the mix.
Mhm.
It's so
Yeah.
strange.
Yeah. Some venues, and speaker manufacturers have gotten better at trying to disperse their throw, and a lot of newer speakers are getting a wider
Oh,
spread.
okay.
You'll see a lot of line array boxes that are getting smaller and smaller. And line arrays are the really small speakers that stack on top of each other and set different angles.
Mhm.
Um, and those are getting incredible at their spread. Usually, probably around 110 degrees to 150.
That's pretty nuts.
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
convenient. It's
So if you're in the center, it's hitting you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I really like all of these technologies that are advancing so fast. It's so interesting with live
incredibly
sound
fast.
and lighting, recording, everything. It's insane how accessible all this stuff is.
Yeah.
How do you feel? 'Cause you went to school, that would have been what, 15 years ago, over a decade ago?
Uh,
Like,
recording school.
yeah.
I was there from 2008 to 2011.
Okay, so it was about a decade ago then.
Yeah.
Um, how relevant do you feel a lot of the things you learned still are or aren't as a result of technology advancing?
I think analog equipment was not seen as something that would stick around. Tape machines and
Yeah.
vinyl coming back and stuff like that. So I think that those schools are probably reintroducing those parts. Um, but I went to school for recording, so that's my perspective. I don't really have. They did have a program that was live sound,
Okay.
so I'm sure that was different for the people that
But
went to
even
that
like home
program.
recording is crazy now because
Yeah,
of just like
yeah,
all of the different interfaces and
hmm
DAWs and how crazy computers are now
yeah.
and
And that stuff was at
external memory so fucking cheap and like you could go on and on and on about this
Yeah,
stuff.
and that stuff was at the forefront of when I went to school,
Uh-huh.
and that they were teaching all of that, getting us prepared for
Yeah,
that
the oncoming
movement.
storm, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
So with recording and that side of things that you
Mhm.
went to school for,
Yeah.
how often do you get to do any of that stuff nowadays?
Uh, luckily a lot. I kind of specialize in live multi-track recording, where to explain the process as simply as I can. Instead of getting what's called a board recording, where you're just getting what the stereo mix is in the room, I'm recording each individual instrument independent of each other at the same time. So I can later go back into my studio and mix that and make a pretty professional, I think, live record
Yeah.
out of that. And that's been the bulk of my work. I've done, singer songwriter type people and produced them in the past, but that live multi track recording and mixing seems to be the bulk of my work.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, yeah,
That's another thing that's insanely easy to do now because of some
yeah,
of the technologies
hmm
that exist.
yeah,
It's super cool. What's really fun though to think about is you know, the way a live mix sounds recorded and the way you mix a band like in the room are two totally different
So
mixes.
different. Yeah.
It's crazy. Like
Goes
if
back to the additive PA thing. So
okay,
if you're doing your board recording, which is just a stereo feed from the board, that live sound engineer could possibly not be putting any bass in that mix or
yeah,
not be putting a ton of drums. So that on the recording is going to fall
yeah,
hard. And all you're getting is vocals and guitar
uh huh,
and any other like keys stuff that you wouldn't hear very
yeah,
much on stage. So that's kind of why that's how I advertise my service to bands is like, this is garbage. You know you don't want that. It's easy, but it's not going to get you the result that you really deserve.
yeah.
And when people bring video people to come and film their set, that service is crucial.
Oh yeah, you want good audio to go with. You have like
Exactly.
this professional ass looking nice HD footage with
Right.
like on camera audio. It's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes off, and the difference is night and day.
Are there any local bands that have ever like worked with you on this that have released stuff that you've recorded live?
Starship Manus is a band that
Cool. Yeah.
I did this a lot with. Um, Lemon Talk, a lot of their earlier stuff, 27 Years, Cosmic Band. Like this first stuff that they released was recorded at James Street multi-track style live.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it. We're doing one of the actually I can't talk about this. Never mind. We're doing a thing with live recording in one of my bands soon, but that's all I'm going to say for now. With running sound at shows, I imagine prior to all of this, you know, you liked music. You're playing in bands. You're
Mhm.
learning how to record music. And then, you know, you start doing sound at shows, and now you're doing sound for shows of bands that you've never heard of. It, you know, maybe styles of music you're not familiar with.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you has come across your plate running sound at a show, whether it be like a particular band or just maybe a style of music that you never really would have expected to enjoy as much as you did?
Uh, Expected to enjoy.
Or like I don't know, it's maybe like just anything that like for example, like let's just say like you know, Northern Gold. I mean, I know them
Mhm.
really really well. I'm not a huge like alternative country fan or whatever you want to call their
Yeah.
type of
Yeah.
music, and I wouldn't expect to like that type of music, but seeing them play live, they're just such good performers.
Yeah.
And you get like a better understanding of it when you see it actually happening versus
Mhm.
just listening to a recording. So I guess that's my question. Is there any ever been a moment like that for you?
I guess bluegrass.
Okay.
Billy Strings was one of the notable bluegrass artists that I was like super impressed with. It was only 4 instruments: a banjo, a mandolin, acoustic guitar, upright bass, but they brought a production quality that I was super impressed by. That was made things very easy for me to mix and a lot more fun.
Okay.
Because it was so clean and everything had their own ranges and I could do some more creative things with it and they were very appreciative of that.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. Yeah, Billy Strings and bluegrass, I think.
Cool.
I think the bluegrass movement is becoming more and more professional in the past 3 to 5 years.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about the local or just underground bluegrass in general, but
Hmm.
it has to be a thing. Everything's a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything has its own movement, and of course, the Rex facilitates bands like Billy Strings and other funk fusion type bands,
Uh-huh.
and that has its own market and people that come to those type of shows.
Yeah, that's another thing that is probably super interesting too, just seeing the crowds of people that come to all of these different styles of events
Hmm.
and just being like, wow, like I thought there would be a lot more people into something like this. Or like I had no idea that there was hundreds of people that were into this weird abstract ambient stuff, you know, like
Yeah.
all kinds of you never know.
Hmm.
The world is a beautiful place.
Avant-garde jazz is also one that, like, I never know where I fall on it,
Okay.
but every time I have to mix it, it's always a challenge, but a welcomed one.
Yeah, I imagine any style of music that's very dynamic, you know,
Yeah.
and you're trying to figure out where it's not like you can't really just set and forget your levels, I imagine, with a band like that. You kind of have to
Right.
be really attentive because, everything could be kind of just laid back for a bit and then all of a sudden it explodes and you're like, whoa, everything just jumped up
Yeah.
40,000 decibels out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? And it just happens for like 1 second.
Yeah.
God damn it. And then like you're trying to like
Right.
fiddle stuff back. There's a thing that I've noticed just from running sound. I don't run sound a whole lot, but in my limited experience that I've had running live sound at shows, it's made me understand what makes a good singer more
Yeah.
in terms of like, I feel like I now judge singers based on how much compression they don't need.
Yeah.
How much vocal dynamic control they actually have over different ranges.
Exactly. And
Be-
that comes with experience and hearing yourself and how the mic responds to your voice. And you can tell a professional singer from an amateur one very
Yeah.
quickly by
just like
how much you have to ride their fader.
yeah, and like just all those things that I never really thought about, but now it's super beneficial to me as a performer because it gets my brain thinking about those things,
Seeing it
Being-
from the other side.
seeing it from the other side.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, like yeah,
Absolutely.
so you catch yourself doing the things that you were just kind of harping on somebody about doing. It's like,
Mhm.
oh shit, we got to get this together.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because like even for just like doing the hip hops or my death metal stuff, it's still like there's still vocal techniques that need to be applied to do this, maximally okay.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just gonna be trash.
Yeah.
It's gonna sound.
And I'm
bad.
sure you've seen this number
Oh yeah,
a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
no matter what the genre.
Yeah,
You've seen many people.
I've gotten pretty good at not cupping the mic. It's a really, really bad habit, and we
Mhm.
move around a lot too. So sometimes I'm just like trying not to drop the thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
overall, it's just like this sounds bad. Why did holding the microphone like this become the thing?
Yeah. I think the look of your, however you're trying to portray yourself is nonchalant or you don't care.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't look as tough whenever you have it like this. It's like there's something that's like more like
There is
rule breaking.
yeah, there's a
kinda.
rule breaking, there's aggression to it, and
Well, the other thing too with a lot of metal vocalists will like utilize the cupping to like create like they're like basically creating like a organic EQ
yeah,
with their hand to like
that's exactly what you're doing.
do some sort of things, and it's like, well, I guess that's cool, but you could still probably do that with your throat if you try a little harder. But everybody's different, we're all unique in our own ways.
Yeah.
How do you feel about heavy metal music?
I dig it.
You dig it?
Yeah. I'm not a
How-
a diehard fan, but I definitely appreciate
Is there
it.
any style of music that you just think is like kind of absurd or a little silly in a live setting? Like for me, like I'm all about art and creative expression,
Yeah.
but like there's been several times where I've like, watched people scream through guitar pedals for a half hour. And that's it.
Oh, did you see the video that surfaced from Deutschtown Music Fest where it was two females
Yes.
on
Yes.
just against drone music, I think it
Yes.
was, and
Yes.
they were beating each other up?
Yes.
That is a little too much.
Yeah.
me.
That's definitely a unique thing
Yeah.
for sure. It's pretty, but like also I would say with them, I feel like the performance of that it's definitely like it's absurd. It's like what is happening? Like this is total chaos and it transcends into a new level of chaos that like I kind of appreciate it because
Yeah.
it crosses a line and just goes into something that's completely different.
Mhm.
But it's like it's just really funny that happened at Deutschtown because like
It's such an
It's-
every man type event.
yeah,
So
it's
you're having all walks of life come through there.
so intense.
And that dad looking dude came in and was like, what is this?
Yeah,
Is this
I remember,
part
like,
of it?
I thought it was, like, really funny because, like, for whatever reason, like, when we were trying to get Grey Walker to play Deutschtown Music Festival, we tried, like, 2 years in a row, and
Mhm.
we kinda got the no thanks,
Mhm.
which is fine, but then, like, you see stuff like that, and it's like, well, I guess it wasn't that, or too crazy. It's just something else. Maybe
Yeah.
their quota for metal was filled at the time. But to be fair, they have gotten a lot better at booking heavier acts over
Mhm.
the past 2 years. This was like 2014, 15 when we were trying to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your feeling about the early years? Was it too vanilla or too
I
one
don't
one
know.
thing?
I didn't really have a personal feeling about it. It was just a thing where it's like, hey, it's happening. Let's try to play it.
Yeah.
And then they were like, nope. Like, okay. Then we tried again and they're like, nope. And we're like, okay.
I saw a fist fight in a parking lot a couple years back, and I was super impressed.
Yeah,
And that
they're
was
awesome.
that was at the Elks Theater, or not the Elks Theater, the
Lodge.
Elks Lodge.
Yeah.
I love that room with really loud, heavy music. For some reason, the dynamic of that room just sounds incredible. So when I saw them, I was super impressed by the room and the band.
Yeah, we've booked a couple shows there with Grey Walker because Joey is an Elks member, our drummer.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, we've used that room for like an album release, and then we did it for another show too. And yeah, I like that room too. I think it's a really cool space, and it's utilized, but I think it could be utilized more by rock bands. But I think it's just a
Yeah.
matter of like having the connection to get in there, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I think, anybody that's willing to try, I think they should
yeah,
get that room because it sounds incredible. And of course, you need sound support.
yeah,
They don't have a PA,
yeah,
well, a adequate PA.
yeah.
So
That's
it
the
might
one.
it might cost you.
Yeah, that's the one thing that can be a bummer with a lot of Pittsburgh spaces. Is that when it comes to heavier music, for whatever reason, there just isn't like a decent mid-sized venue to really facilitate it.
Yeah,
I mean, Howlers isn't bad, Smiling Moose isn't bad, but it would be nice to have something that was like a little bit more of a step up and something that could be more all ages friendly
hmm
because there's even when we have shows in all ages spaces for like metal bands, it'll be like, oh, well, we're doing a show at Black Forge, but we have a brewery coming in to bring beer, so it's still going to be 21 plus.
yeah,
And then like the kids can't come, and it's like, well, why are there no young metal bands? Maybe because there's no place for young kids to see heavy metal music.
yeah. I agree with that. I think the lower um, cap rooms are pretty much lacking in Pittsburgh. There's all these great mid-sized to large venues that are popping up, but I think a lot of local artists are feeling slighted by no development in
Hmm.
low cap rooms.
Yeah, and it's just hard for like the more alternative or extreme genres of music because it's not like we're not getting any restaurant gigs. We're not
Mhm.
getting the brewery gigs unless
Yeah.
it's like a cool brewery.
Right.
You know, it's just not there for us. So
Yeah.
it's like, what the fuck are we supposed to do? I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
It sucks.
DIY basement shows. That's all.
Yeah,
That's all that's left,
but like
really.
the alternative venue space, it doesn't really work when it's like, well, you're in your 30s and like your fan base is in their 30s. So if they're coming out, like they probably want to get a beer and stuff too.
Yeah.
But you also have a whole demographic of people that are like in high school or maybe, whatever, college kids that can't go to 21 plus shows that fucking love metal.
Yeah.
It's just they can't go to the shows. And that's probably why whenever a big metal band comes through to stage AE or whatever, like you see a shit ton of people there because it's actually a show that they can go to.
hmm Yeah. It's really unfortunate. I experienced a lot of that when I was a young musician, and Kevin was a person that at 16 years old was really fostering a young people's movement in music and booking fire halls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where obviously the adults weren't trying to give us any kind of hand, so we're just like, well, screw it, we'll do it ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if that's a solution
No, I mean
for today's climate,
that
but
stuff exists it's always very temporary. And it'd be nice to have something that was a little bit more just like official
Yeah.
seeming, you
Yeah.
know? That way people could feel like they're actually a part of something.
Mhm.
It's not just like, oh, the fire hall by day,
Right.
concert venue by night, like
Right.
the place that is a concert venue, period.
Yeah, it would be
But
nice.
it's so much fucking money. There's so much red tape, and the only way you can ever keep the lights on in those fucking places is to sell a shit ton of alcohol.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's a huge challenge.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. I mean,
I don't think anybody's
things aren't as bad as maybe I'm making them seem, but it's always a concern of mine.
Yeah.
And when I see things like the Pittsburgh Music Ecosystem Project, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is cool, but been joking about like, the love Pittsburgh music. It's like love some Pittsburgh music, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
It's not really like, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
But
You have
It's-
people that are struggling in your group, in your community, but there's a community outside of that
yeah.
that are also being overlooked. So I don't know what, the solution is. Because I think I hate to say that there's cliques, because there's a lot of people that kind of intermingle with a lot of different musicians and different communities and different genres and stuff like that. But there is segmentations in Pittsburgh music, and I think a lot of people were being
It's like-
overlooked.
I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong, like Gene the Werewolf, I love you guys, but do you
for
have
sure.
to play every fucking rock event that happens in the city? There's other rock bands. I'm not even talking, they're a good fucking band, but
Mhm.
it's just like every single time there's like one of those fucking things. Like Ribfest was this weekend, you know what I mean? It's the Clarks, okay.
Yep.
Fucking Gene the Werewolf, okay. And then you had Atlantic Wasteland that played too, which shout outs to them. They were just on the show. They're a new band. I'm glad that they got in on an opportunity, but like I would like to see more of that and more of the, even if it's not metal, just more of the other hard rock bands getting, a chance to do some events like that. Because like,
Mhm.
come on, Gene the Werewolf, you play every single big rock event. Good for you guys, but I mean, fuck.
Yeah, it's dominating the market for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, also too, it's like, is that their fault, or is
No,
it just
not at
the
all.
people that put together those events? Well, it's like, well, they're a good band. They have good, social media presence. People know who they are, and
Mhm.
they're a party. They're a fun time. I
Yeah.
think a big thing could be that we do have a lot of shitty rock bands in Pittsburgh. So, I mean, to be fair, maybe some bands just need to step it up
Yeah.
and get a little less shitty.
But there also is an element of like selling out. Like, if you want to be true to yourselves, you're not going to play Ribfest.
I guess depending on the band, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are people that were, hell yeah, I'll sell out to play in front of that.
Yeah. I don't
many
even know if
people.
it's really selling out. Like, how much money do you think they pay the bands to play Ribfest? Like $400 probably.
I wouldn't know, but
No, they probably make more than that. But
I hope so.
yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask.
Yeah.
Yo, if you're listening, let us know. Let us know let us know about that rib money. Cha-ching.
I mean, it's a festival that upcharges everything. I don't know if you've ever been to
Nah.
any kind of food festival. Taco Fest was something that I had worked this summer, and they were selling $5 tacos,
Okay.
which is absurd.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
They weren't good tacos.
Yeah.
They weren't $5 worth.
Yeah. I mean,
But I mean, there's a ton of money to be made.
uh-huh.
And if you are looking for somebody to provide a service,
I mean, you're really taking advantage of the consumer at that point, because what you do is you get this really cute, kitschy idea.
mhm,
Pittsburgh Taco Festival. Oh my God, we got to go to the Pittsburgh Taco Festival. And then you get down there, you're ready for tacos.
yeah,
They could charge $6 or $7 for those tacos, and people would still probably buy them because they
Yeah.
went.
but it wasn't a free festival. They actually had to buy like a $40 or $50 ticket to get in the door.
And then you paid for the
Yeah.
tacos on top of that?
Well, I paid for my own taco. I was working it, so
Yeah,
didn't
I know,
have
but
to-
I meant like as a
yeah,
consumer.
as a consumer,
that seems a little. Did you get like at least like one voucher for a free taco?
I didn't really look into it that hard, but
I don't know. There's so much money that goes into all those things. It's
mhm.
it's ridiculous. What is your take on the foodie thing that's happening to Pittsburgh over the past decade?
I appreciate some of it. I appreciate more diversity in in food in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Can only eat so many pierogies.
sure.
That
I would say pierogies are kind of hard to find these days.
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
BBT was
Oh yeah,
one
yeah.
that had some pretty notably good
Uh-huh.
pierogies, and
You,
that's not
you can still get
there
some
anymore.
pierogies at the Rock Room
Yeah.
if you're feeling brave. No, that I always liked going there and getting food. I haven't been there in a long time. That's like one of those places. That place and Gooski's, the Polish Hill scene.
hmm
It's just not for me. I don't know what it is. It's just like it's too in terms of like playing shows. I mean, I should be clear on that
Okay.
because it's very. It just seems like it's very like whatever. And me being like a stickler for good live production. I'm like, what do you mean, whatever? Somebody should be running sound. These speakers aren't working. What's happening? And
Yeah.
everybody's like, fuck it. And when it comes to me and playing live, I'm very much a not, fuck it kind of person.
Right.
I'm like the polar opposite of that. Like I'm always I want to analyze every little thing to like, give a good performance.
Yeah.
But to be fair to the people that go to those shows there and the bands that play there, like that's what they want. They really, it's just not a concern to them.
hmm
So they play, they pack the rooms out, they have a good time. And I guess that's really what it's all about is having a good time with your band and giving a good time to the people that come out.
Yeah.
So if you don't need a working PA to do that, God bless you. It's
That's-
just not for me.
Yeah. Me neither.
But like yeah, so that was I do think about them rock room pierogies every once in a while though. It's been a long time since I've been there. I doubt I'll ever play a show there again.
I've never had them. Were they traditional or were they
Traditional.
new Pittsburghian?
No. They're OG, just like you know.
Tater tots seems to be something that people are rehashing for some reason, where they're loading it with all kinds of toppings.
Well, it's another one of those trends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just because.
I think it's easy and it's like cute.
Yeah,
You know, it's cheap. It's an easy thing to upcharge the shit out of. You know what I mean?
hmm
Throw some sour cream and bacon bits on it. All of a sudden, you got $12 tater tots.
yeah. I mean, it's hard to go wrong. It's potato, so it's pretty much a mashed.
What
up.
is your preferred potato? Mashed tater tot, a fry, a baked,
I would say baked.
baked. All
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
loaded. for sure.
loaded.
Yeah,
All right,
Yeah,
all right. You ain't fucking around.
no, but I love all kinds of potatoes.
Yeah, I'm a potato guy.
Yeah.
So let's say this. It's been a show. It's been a long night. You've got done running sound. You got a
Mhm.
rumble in your tummy. Do you got a go-to spot that you like to fuck up some food after a gig?
Home.
Home.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
home guy.
I'm a home cook.
Okay.
I cook a lot at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of stuff do you cook? Do you like to experiment, get your chef on, or do you?
A little bit, yeah. I like sous vide cooking a lot. Do you know anything about that?
Not enough. Tell
I
me.
don't know. I'm very enamored by your soundboard, by the way. Sous vide means under vacuum in French.
Okay.
And what you do is you vacuum seal a meat or vegetable or whatever, and then you submerge it in a bath of water that is constantly circulated by a machine and heated to a very specific temperature.
This is some fucking nerdy shit. Keep going.
It's very culinary nerdy stuff, but the results are incredible. So if you're cooking a steak, you can get it to the perfect medium rare, however you like it, and it will stay at that temperature because you're not overcooking it.
Okay.
And when you take it out of the bag, it doesn't look very appealing. So you can sear it afterwards in a cast iron pan or a grill or however you like it. But if you do it at a very hot temperature, you can get the very nice crusty sear that's incredibly thin. And when you cut into the meat, it's that perfect medium rare, edge to edge. So there's no grading or banding
Yeah.
between the center of it to the edge. So it results in a very flavorful and juicy. But steak is not the only thing.
One thing I've noticed about you is that you are a glossary of specific terms and ways to describe things. Like,
Well,
you do not fuck around.
well,
Like, if
thank
you
you.
it's like sometimes whenever I'm explaining how to do something, I have to come up with, the way in my brain. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you cut into the meat and it's cooked all the way through. Like, it's not like there's weird batches that were heated up more or
Mhm.
less. You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
But you're like, no, it's like the grading. And I was like, what the fuck? It's awesome. But like, yeah, you know
Well,
how to perfectly describe
I
something.
appreciate that.
I
Thank you.
feel like was that something that has been a part of your life always, or did becoming a recording engineer or learning how to like communicate with people in those environments help influence clear vocabulary and
Mm.
how to describe things?
Uh, I think I've always been a person that likes
Knowing
conveying
what the fuck I'm talking about.
not only that, but conveying information that I want to be heard in a specific way, and I don't want it to be misinterpreted.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So being very specific in my vocabulary, I think, helps me explain myself a little better.
It helps get the job done for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
I knew exactly what you were talking about when you're explaining
and
it to me.
that's the result I hope to accomplish.
Yeah. Do you see a big correlation between cooking and writing music?
I see a correlation between cooking and mixing music,
Okay.
where you have all of these different flavors that you're trying to blend together, and have maybe an equal balance between all of those flavors.
Yeah.
Some one thing's not overpowering the other. So yeah, there's a lot of different correlations between mixing music and cooking for sure.
Yeah. I enjoy cooking a lot. We cook at home fa- fairly frequently, usually a couple times a week more if we can. But
Mhm.
we also, I don't know, we're on the go. We're busy beavers, so we're always eating out and about and stuff like that. Plus, I guess I also like the trying new places. Or,
Mhm.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that own restaurants and things like that. So it's
Yeah,
nice to go and say hi to them and, throw $50 at them and help keep the lights on
yeah.
or whatever, you know.
Is there
So,
a favorite Pittsburgh restaurant that's kind of unique in its own?
well, shout outs to the Pear and the Pickle. Bobby was just on the show last week, the
Mhm.
owner, operator of that place. I love that place. It's a cafe, deli. They're only open for breakfast and lunch, but I'm there every day
Mm.
that they're open. I love that spot. Um, so for breakfast or lunch, I would definitely say Pear and the Pickle is probably my favorite spot. For dinner, that's a whole nother can of worms. It really just
Yeah.
depends on the style of food. We're inside Penn Brewery. If you've never eaten here, they have a phenomenal menu here. And a lot of things that you wouldn't expect. I'm always telling my vegetarian friends that the menu here kicks ass for vegetarians. And they're like, what? Like, you think Penn Brewery, German food,
Yeah.
bratwurst, and all this
Yeah.
stuff? It's like, no, dude, you can get like pulled barbecue jackfruit sliders, and
Ooh.
they have really good it's like a portobello Philly cheesesteak, and it's killer. They do a really, really good job with like, you know, marinating the mushrooms and
Yeah.
all this stuff. It's fucking killer. And other things too. Plus potatoes.
Yeah.
Lots of potatoes and
Can't go
stuff.
wrong
So
with potatoes.
the food here is great. And if you enjoy meat, they got plenty of that for you. So I always like to recommend Penn Brewery. And I'm sure I could think of some other places, but it's all kind of escaping me now.
Yeah.
We went to Superior Motors for the first time, which is like, that's fancy shit right there.
Yeah. How'd you
know?
like that?
We had a really good experience.
Cool.
I've talked with some people that have had mixed experiences there. But when we went, it was pretty chill. There was only 3 or 4 other tables of people in the restaurant.
Mhm.
And our food was really good. Our service was nice. And, aside of it just being, pricey, that was like the only thing. Like, oh, fuck, I wish I didn't spend $100 right now. But we had a really good time and it was a nice date. So I would
Yeah.
recommend it for like a date or a celebration of sorts.
Yeah. I
That's a
do
cool.
some work in the theater that's behind that.
Okay.
Bare Bones Theater.
I've never heard of that spot. What is that?
It's like a small production theater.
Oh, cool.
They seat probably around 70 to 75 people,
Oh, wow.
and
Small.
yeah, pretty small. But they sell out practically every
What do they do? Like plays or
plays.
something? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, mostly plays. I do some sound design for them sometimes, and yeah, every play that I've seen is always very well curated and picked for a specific reason.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
So have you ever eaten at Superior Motors Inn?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. Check it out sometime if you
Yeah, next time I'm there,
if you have the if you have the extra scratch and time. Like I enjoyed it. I thought I had a really pleasant experience. I
What
would
would you
definitely go
say-
back.
would you say per plate? How much would it cost?
Well, so me and my girlfriend, we're both vegetarians.
Yeah.
So they actually, it wasn't as much for us because all the vegetarian dishes were kind of priced accordingly. They're a little bit cheaper, like $5 to $10 cheaper
Okay.
than some of the meaty dishes. Like I think all of our stuff, we got like a bunch of different things, and like the plates were like, I don't know, but I'd say between 15 and 20.
Okay.
And so it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But we got a whole lot of stuff, so it added up, and then it became a bad thing at the end. But for the meaty stuff, I think it was more in like the 20 to 30 range. Some stuff was probably in the 30 to 40 range, but that's probably like the fancy schmancy shit.
Yeah.
But the food was prepared really well.
Good.
Had some awesome potatoes, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had some really good fucking potatoes.
Describe the potatoes to me.
You know what? I knew you were gonna ask me, and I can't remember right now. I cannot remember
Scalloped.
what. No, they weren't scalloped. They were like little baby reds,
Hmm.
and they were cut and they were roasted. So they probably threw them in some oil and some seasonings or whatever, and then roasted the motherfuckers, and they put some other sort of like saucy seasoning thing on it.
Yeah.
It was good.
I'm a fan of the baby potatoes.
Yeah.
Especially from like Aldi. They have the multicolored purple and
Okay.
red skin.
I don't do Aldi enough. I think that I need to get.
It's quite a deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always what I hear, and then we just never go. We're very much the go to Market District at 11:30 on a Sunday night type of people.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, like Aldi and like Trader Joe's. Those are
They're
places
not
that,
open 24
yeah, they're not
hours, yeah.
open. But
Yeah.
I enjoy both of those places.
Yeah. Recommend it for sure.
We'll do. Get some
Yeah.
potatoes from Aldi's. So, with all of that being said, I think we can wrap this up. I think we talked about life and shit and music. It was tight.
A lot of fun. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And outro. And that is all, folks. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation one more time. Brandon, thanks for stopping by. Long overdue, my friend.
Yes, thank you.
Long
Thank you.
overdue. I'll be back again in a few days with another conversation. Same time, same place, same channel. You know the drill. My name is Sykes. Start the beat 2019. Whoop, woo. Thanks for listening. And real quick, I gotta do something.
Okay.
So I've been slowly working on this Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure soundboard.
Excellent!
Yes.
And I didn't have a good opportunity to drop any. So
I'm so
Iron
sad.
Maiden. Excellent!
Oh man. I'm so sad that you didn't.
yeah, I forgot. Like I was literally working on this before you showed up.
Okay.
So
all
that's why they're not like, yeah. So I need to remember that I have them. But yeah,
Cool.
cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
Stop that. Stop that.